Shalom Yashrala, this is your brother Dawada, coming back at you with this here truth again. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushua, Bahashem, Rakak Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of great millstone that taught us this truth and ever will. And salutation and much love for you, Aki, and pushing this truth and sincerity over the four corners of the earth and enduring afflictions to feed and edify the elect. So I want to jump to this here article real quick. As we see, the scriptures say, water the heathen rage and imagine a vain thing. All right, and as you can see, if you understand, like, a lot of these economic ties and things that's going on, seems like economically certain packs and groups are, how do I say, unweaving themselves together. All right, they're pretty much falling apart at the seam. All right, especially with a lot of these bad and raw deals. The scriptures say how does it go? The nations have drunken of her wine, therefore the nations are mad. All right, but hey, also the nations are starting to wake up from this here Babylonian juice. All right, but and then part of this, they're starting to sober up and looking at ways to, also looking at the stance of America. It's like one of those moments, in boxing when you notice that one fighter is getting dazed, and it's only a matter of moments, matter of seconds before he get hit with that hook, that uppercut or whatever, before he's all the way out. He's pretty much then lost the fight, and that's where we at right about now, where these nations are sizing America up, and now what, they're preparing for the fall. All right, so it says Algeria applies to the BRICS, all right, which we'll get into it. It says the North African country already meets most of the criteria for joining the economic bloc, according to its president. Now, this here thing started out as just basically like a different way of more or less like replacing the SWIFT system. All right, kind of like replacing the, how you would say, like the corridor for buying and selling and maneuvering in oil and everything else like that. Then it grew to more of an economic backbone and things like that. So more than just dealing with the oil and everything else like that. Now, hey, we have different payment systems and things like that, because along with the American way. All right, you have the petrodollar. All right, they just America uses that to be able to make the money up off of these things. Just doing a little research on OPEC and why America isn't part of OPEC, but they pretty much run OPEC and make money off of that through Saudi Arabia. All right, but they're not even a part of it. So they get the, how they say, have their cake and eat it too. All right, they control their own oil. All right, and make their money off their own oil, and then also sell pretty much the majority of the oil that they refine and everything. All right, and it's not like put into the basket with we all putting in on this, so we only get to take out percentages. It's like a company that have shareholders. Hey, each shareholder get a percentage back. But see, America's like, no, we don't have no shareholders. I'm the sole owner of this here thing. All right, but then they also a shareholder on the OPEC scenario, or they got to deal with Saudi Arabia. All right. So it says the North African country already meets most of the criteria for joining the economic bloc, according to its president. And I'm not going to be able to pronounce these people's names, but it says Algeria has reportedly filed an official application to join BRICS, the BRICS group of a major emerging economies. News website Al Saruk said the announcement came from Lila Zurich, the foreign minister's special envoy for international partnerships, speaking on state radio. Algerian President, I'm not even going to try to pronounce these names, recently said the country was interested in joining Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, the BRICS group. All right, and that's what BRICS stand for. You got the letter for each of these nations. Brazil, B, Russia, R, India, I, China, the C, and South Africa, S. All right, but then recently you've had a lot of different people applying to join in on this. All right, so like again, it just started out with these few nations. All right, with the oil scenario. All right, but then now we're starting to, you have like this is turning into how they use the term the New World Order. All right, this is morphing into more than just a trade for fuel. All right, or oil. All right, because hey, along with the oil, all right, you have Russia, which can how do I say, supply military arms and things like this, military protection to these other nations that's joining in on this. All right, you have like China that can supply technology, and then also the economic backbone, when they started to launch that digital yuan and everything else like that. All right, so all these things are starting to become integrated into one. All right, it says later Russian ambassador to Algeria indicated that Moscow had no objections to Algeria joining. All right, and see, you got like the scriptures say, Russia was going to be a garden to these people. Like I said, it started out over like basically like just oil and things like that. But hey, what it's morphing into is like, hey, like for instance, to give you an idea of these things, like you have uh, there's a difference between NATO and the EU, and not just the members that are a part of it. Obviously, America is a part of NATO, but they're not a part of the EU. But when you look at the EU, what's the difference between the EU and NATO, other than the countries that's involved? The NATO is more or less like a military arm, right? Whereas the EU is more of a financial scenario. All right. So when you look at the EU nations and what they do in that, how do I put it, into that so-called group, they pretty much drop their borders over there so that people could travel, whatever across the borders. For the most part, they use a single currency instead of all the different currencies they use. I believe the euro or something like that, or to where it's easier to trade across those. And then they trade as pretty much one block. All right. Instead of each of those different nations, they can get, like hey, if me and all of us pool our money together, we can buy at a discounted rate. You know what I'm saying? We getting it for wholesale, more or less to say. All right. So you could just imagine how the EU, started out. Well, I mean, they still are, an economic bloc, but then, it morphed. Not to say it actually morphed, but let's say the next step would be a military arm, but you don't have a group where it's, we call it NATO and the EU, but you get the point what I'm trying to make. The BRICS nation started out as just one thing, and now it's starting to morph into multiple things, and it's starting to gather up other nations inside of it. All right. But also, hey, to replace this here system that you see going on, which is being, you know, at the head of it is being ran by the U.S. All right, and all these different little subgroups inside of that. All right, it says, hey, because what you'll understand is we'll go into this. We'll get a little further into like with OPEC. What happens if OPEC joins this? Because again, this started out over oil. Right now, what happens if OPEC joins this? Then you pretty much have like the major oil players, which we'll get a little bit into it, all in one basket, and pretty much just cut America out of it. All right, but then on the flip side, you have oh, we're gonna cut y'all off economically, hit y'all with sanctions and things. Well, China can, bankroll a lot of this here stuff. Move their economics onto their digital yuan, and then hey, what you gonna do? Sanction us? China can hold down everybody with trade if they can secure the deal with because for let's say America and China was to go to war, they wouldn't even really have to go to war with each other. But if China decided to stop selling to America, the rest of the countries, I mean, you'd have to have all the countries in the entire world have to try to buy from China and solely from China to try to replace what just America does. And that might not even do is justice, and vice versa. For America, they would need all the other countries in the world to band together to sell to America, all right, to replace China. America is a consumer nation. It doesn't produce anything like that. You know what I'm saying? They have the petrodollar. You have to understand the economics of these things. America provides, military arms, and then they also have the petrodollar. With every time somebody moves money in oil, all right, they have to use the American dollar, which just in turns make them rich. So they don't, and in trade, so quick example, China want to buy some oil from Iran. China will be like, look, we want to get $100 billion worth of oil. So now they got to get $100 billion of US dollars, which they call the petrodollar, to be able to make this transaction go through. Now they go and borrow that money from America, and they'll pay that money to Iran, right? Now what will happen is America will tell China, we don't want that $100 billion back in money. What we want is $100 billion worth of credit, all right, with buying from you guys. So now we got $100 billion worth of goods coming in, all right, boom. And then they'll just offset the price. Well, hey, when y'all go to, so for instance, when Iran go to try to cash that $100 billion back in, hey, we want $100 billion in trade from you guys and whatever resources, but this $100 billion is actually worth a little bit of less. So now, this $100 billion, let's just say it's worth $70 billion, and then on China, hey, you guys want to borrow $100 billion, it's going to cost you $120 billion. All right. So, hey, it's just like you go to a pawn shop or you trade in a car or some shit like that. They're not going to give you, they'll buy the car for $10,000. You know what I'm saying? No, the car's worth 20,000 and they'll sell it for 15. You know what I'm saying? They'll do it like that. But this is what kept America rich at this here scenario. So just imagine if they get cut out of this here, this whole picture, man, of the OPEC deal. Again, we'll get a little bit more into the OPEC to kind of show you these things. But it says at this year's BRICS summit held online in June, the format was expanded to include 13 additional nations. As you can see, it's starting to grow, including Algeria. All right, the president was the first guest to speak, calling for a new economic order where parity and equality or equity between countries will reign. All right, so again, cutting America up out of the picture. All right, basically, like you could say, a new world order. All right, a new economic order. All right, without America at the top. All right, it says Russian Deputy Foreign Minister Sergei Rabach said in September that the number of countries have expressed an interest in joining BRICS in one form or another. The diplomat said that the leaders of BRICS nations are developing a procedure for accepting new members. The BRICS alliance, which already accounts for more than 40% of the world's population, is expecting to consider adding nations including Saudi Arabia, which is a major OPEC member, Turkey, which is a NATO member, Egypt, Iran, and Afghanistan. And I believe, I'm not sure if Egypt, but Iran is, we'll just look at it. All right. So, and this is something else I had looked into a little bit about Algeria's resources. All right, so it says the oil and gas sector is the backbone of the economy. The country's other resources include iron ore, phosphates, uranium, and lead. Algeria joined OPEC in 1969, so Algeria is also a nation in OPEC. All right. So just looking at these resources again, they go into the oil and gas. All right, so let's go into these OPEC members, right? So you click here, which are not, but they'll list the ones that are. Just current OPEC members are Algeria, Angola, Equatorial Guinea, Gabon, Iran, Iraq, Kuwait, Libya, Nigeria, Republic of Congo, Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, and Venezuela. All right, now when you go into Venezuela, it actually has the most oil, but Saudi Arabia, I would say Saudi Arabia produces the most oil, but really America produces the most oil. They just, you have to get into that. They sell a lot of their oil off to everybody else, but they don't really use all their oil. America uses a lot of oil, but then they also sell off a lot of their oil as well. This is why America is not really known for one of the big top, even though they are the top producer of oil. All right, they have a lot of different terms with these things: the top producer, the top seller, the top refiner in oil, and the biggest deposits, because the people with the biggest deposits will be Venezuela. All right, but nevertheless, going back into here, you can see the nations that's a part of OPEC. So in here you have Algeria, which the article is about. All right, you have Saudi Arabia, all right, which is one of the more or less say not a leader, but has a big leading stake in OPEC. All right, Venezuela, which we know that they already have ties with Russia. All right, same with Iraq or Iran. All right, they have huge ties with Russia. All right, so hey, we can see how it's not going to be very long, especially with how things are going between America and Saudi Arabia and things like that. All right, for these nations too, and then you also had Turkey that's trying to jump over, but it's not far fetched or not hard to see how this could quickly just shift. They can pretty much just absorb all of OPEC into the BRICS nation. All right, and then you have the military arm, which being Russia. All right, supplying these different nations. You have technology and you have trade. All right, being held by China, as well as economics and things like that, man. All right, so you see what these nations are pretty much doing as far as let's get into some scriptures, as far as carving out a new way for living without America. All right, they're making their final things. Hey, look, we see, it's just like you at a company, right? You working for this company for so long, and you realize, hey, the company is going out of business. They got liquidation sales. They tell you, hey, we're only going to do business up until December and everything else like that. And at the very end of this here run, you start seeing people packing up their desk and everything else like that. But alongside them packing up their desk and taking their pictures home and everything else like that, and cleaning out the break room and doing all these things, what else are these people doing? All right, they're applying for jobs elsewhere. All right, they're applying for more, let's say, a residency in a different place. All right, to be able to park their little tail and be doing their work, to input and maneuver in that sense. So the same thing you see going on right now is Babylon is starting to fall around, a circle to drain, more or less to say. This is what these nations are doing. But hey, this is a futile thing for them to be doing. All right, Psalms 2:1. Why do the heathen rage and the people imagine a vain thing? All right, and then the NLT says, why are the nations so angry? Why do they waste their time with futile plans? And as we'll read going further on down, they understand that America is on the ropes and about to be out. All right, but guess what? Instead of just letting things go, that pride is starting to rise up inside of them. Hey man, America finna drop, and like we'll get into as we read the next couple verses. But hey, instead of the Lord reigning, they decided, hey, you know what? As they fall, we're gonna get up into that position. Basically they jockeying for position at the top. They seen America falling off the throne, but they think that they can either collectively come and sit up on top of the throne and reign together without, big bad Babylon. All right, or hey, maybe they're just gonna start we'll band together for now to try to knock them off, and then we'll just go and start seeing if we got who got next. All right, you got a multitude of different nations. You got some of them that's Edomites. Russia's involved. You got the Moabites involved. All right, I mean, you got these other nations that are, it's not really like Ham, for real Ham, but you got these other Ishmaelites and stuff like that, and all these other folks that's involved as well too. But hey, man, this is what these nations are doing. Why do the heathen rage and the people imagine a vain thing? All right, the kings of the earth set themselves, and the rulers take counsel. Matter of fact, I wanted to go into some of these words real quick. Let me read that again. It says, "Why do the heathen rage and the people imagine a vain thing?" All right, let's go back up into imagine and also vain. All right, it says the point here I wanted to grab was to devise, to plot. All right, why do they devise? All right, in vain, pretty much going into a futile plans. All right, vanity, emptiness. All right, vain. All right, worthless. All right, why do they devise worthless plans as if the Lord isn't going to come back and reign? All right, this is what these people are doing. They're over here setting up for a new world order. All right, when the Lord is already about to take Esau up out of, they got to understand that, the pride has deceived them. The pride of their heart has deceived them. They understand and they know these things is about to start happening, man. They know that, hey, Esau is about to fall. The chariots is coming back. All right, Yahushua finna take Esau up off the throne. But guess what? They think that, they gonna reign. Let's read it. Psalms 2:1. Why do the heathen rage and the people imagine a vain thing? The kings of the earth set themselves, and the rulers take counsel together against the Lord and his anointed, saying, let me see. Well, let me read that NLT. I never read that. It says, let me just read this whole thing in the NLT. Come on. All right. It says, verse 2, it says, the kings of the earth prepare for battle. The rulers plot together. All right. So, hey, you got World War III. The rulers plot together because, hey, again, they know that they about to wax America bare, leave America bare. All right. They're looking to spoil her, man. All right. Habakkuk says, all the remnant of the nation shall spoil thee. All right. This is what they got going on because America went through the earth and took all these different resources and made them join all these different groups and things like that. Again, you got like these nations under OPEC, all right, which America isn't officially a part of, but they, how do I put it? It's like, let me see, give you an example. They're like, so for instance, with these rappers, oh, we're not signed to Def Jam, but this is, and I got my own record label. You got another Jake that's got another record label. Well, where he signed to, man? He signed to this big label. You're not officially signed to Def Jam, but you signed to some Jake that's signed to this here label. So at the end of the day, you still signed to them, man. You got your hand still in the cookie jar, but not letting these people think that, oh, so-and-so then got on and then signed so-and-so and then they started their own record label and then they signed so-and-so and they got their own record label. And you think that these people got their own record labels and everything else like that. But it's like, yo, man, this is basically subcontractors, man. They all, you go back to the root of these things, who's at the top, who's really controlling Saudi Arabia. All right, now what you have going on right now with Saudi Arabia is the weak saying I'm strong. All right, Saudi Arabia really is a very weak nation because of the fact of militarily wise. Their whole entire military is how you say bankrolled by America. All right, that's pretty much who you have over there running their stuff. So if America was to disappear, their enemies and things like that, what is it, Yemen? All right, they could easily just run over them like that. But what the caveat is like, well, if they start making deals and everything else with Russia, all right, we can get rid of America. You know what I'm saying? And we can get the protection from Russia. We can still sell our oil and make our money over here. And guess what? America doesn't have their hand in our cookie jar no more, man. All right, so you seeing these things are starting to play out right about now. You seen the same thing going on with Turkey, man. All right, they threatened them with that S-400 deal to remove them from the F-35 program. They're like, we don't give a damn. We could just start buying planes and stuff from Russia. We could get all this stuff from Russia. Oh, y'all gonna cut us off of housing nukes into our land and protect us with y'all nukes? Well, we can have Russia to house their nukes on our land as well too. Not saying that they doing that, but hey, whatever y'all can take from us, Russia can provide for us now. As the scripture go into be thou a guard unto them. All right, now you're starting to see these different nations starting to how do you say, stand up All right, like I said, this BRICS scenario is going from just not to say economic scenario, but from a not really a resource, but from an oil perspective to more than just that, to economics, to military protection, all these different things. So this is becoming this new, not really called a new world order, but you can pretty much use that as for lack of a better terms, man. All right, this is becoming that new hedge or that new big umbrella, more or less to say, man. All right, because hey, the only thing that's gonna be raining down for because beforehand it's like they have this idea of the USSR. We have to protect you from the USSR. So people would jump into NATO. People would jump into these baskets with America and everything else like that to stay onto that basically that Babylonian titty. But now all of a sudden, hey, that well is run dry. America's showing forth for who it really is. These nations are staying. Let me finish this. We'll read it. Psalms 2 and 3, it says, go back to 2 and 2. The kings of the earth, or let's read this in NLT. It says, the kings of the earth, Salah, prepare for battle. The rulers plot together against the Lord and against his anointed one, saying, let us break their chains, they cry, and free ourselves from the slavery to God. So, hey, at the end all be all, man, hey, they don't want to go. They know that Babylon is about to fall, but they don't want to go into subjection under the Lord. All right. But hey, this is why this is why I said they imagine a vain thing. All right. Because, hey, man, it's not you. Look, you about to find out the same lesson that these Babylonian Edomites is about to find out, man. All right. The Most High, matter of fact, let's go ahead and grab that real quick, man. All right. Just to touch bases. This is Job 14 and 5. All right. Matter of fact, let me grab something else first. What is it? Proverbs 21. Proverbs 21, it says, and 1, the king's heart is in the hand of the Lord as the rivers of water. He turneth it whithersoever he will. All right, now let's go to this Job 14 and 5 real quick. It says, well, I can read that in both KJV and NLT. Job 14 and 5, seeing his days are determined, the number of his months are with thee, and thou hast appointed his bounds that he cannot pass. So, hey, the king's heart is in the hand of the Lord. He turneth it whithersoever he will, and his days are determined, so he can't pass this here boundary, right? 14 and 5 in NLT, it says, you have decided the lengths of our lives. You know how many months we will live, and we are not giving a minute longer. That's on an individual level, but how much more on a grander scale as far as the length of rulership of nations. All right, so hey, thinking of these futile plans. Oh, well, Esau finna get out of power, and we finna come back up into power. And no, man. Hey, when the Edomites is done away with, the Edomites is gonna be done away with, man. All right, yeah, Babylon gonna get their just judgment. But hey, Esau in a whole is not gonna well, we can grab that real quick. It's in the same chapter as what I wanted to grab anyway. Isaiah 14 and 21. Isaiah 14 and 21 says, prepare slaughter for his children, for the iniquity of their fathers, that they do not rise nor possess the land, nor fill the face of the world with cities. So they're gonna be pretty much well, look, let me read that in NLT. Kill this man's children, let them die because of their father's sins. They must not rise and conquer the earth, filling the world with cities. So they must not rise and conquer the earth. So hey, man, like the scriptures say, a little leaven the whole lump. All right, you let one or two of these Edomite nations go just because they on this is what people think that we so pro-Russian and this. Nah, Russia got a job to do. All right, but they at the end of the day they still Edomites, right? So hey, at the end all be all, they're gonna be taken out. All right, but look, you let a little leaven the whole lump. We're gonna be right back in the same boat. So they gotta, let's read verse 22. It says, for I will rise up against them, saith Yahweh of hosts, and I will cut off from Babylon the name and the remnant and the son and the nephew, saith the Lord. All right, and NLT says, this is what the Lord of heaven's army say, I myself have risen against Babylon. I will destroy his children and his children's children, saith the Lord. So hey, and ultimately, going into Esau ultimately being taken up out of power, man. This is a futile plan for any of them to even be a part of this. Russia, being a part of this here plan. All right, hey, the Lord is going to disrupt all these things, man. All right, they're going to be taken out as well too. All right, but they have a job to do in the beginning. But hey, this is part of their so-called not to say contingency plan of what to do once Babylon is taken out. This is what you're seeing happening, And man, we watching the end time prophecies play out, man, rapidly, man. Hey, our salvation is nearer than what we believe, because you got the MOTB that's coming up, famine of the word that's boiling over. You have wars and rumors of wars leading to the World War III. That's like right there. But then you also see, hey, what's gonna happen when World War III is over with? All right, because that's what they showing you. Hey, once this, we got, first of all, they're not gonna have a peaceful transition. America's gonna fight to the death of these things, man. All right, so hey, look, they're gonna keep making their little futile plans and everything, but at the end all be all, hey, we're not gonna just allow y'all to take up all our money. We're gonna fight to the very end. All right, we can go out and fight to the very end. The whore's gonna hate the beast's gonna hate the whore. All right, all of America's allies are gonna turn on them, shoot their arrows on them, and then when the smoke clears, these people have a plan to do what? Let's rebuild without America and everything else like that. But look, the Lord is gonna have them in derision. The Lord is gonna have them. He's gonna laugh at like at Psalms. We didn't read it, but Psalms 2 and we'll close back out with that. All right. It says, Psalms 2:1, why do the heathen rage and the people imagine a vain thing? The kings of the earth set themselves, and the rulers take counsel against the Lord and his anointed, saying, let us break their bands asunder and cast their cords away. He that sitteth in the heavens shall laugh, the Lord shall have them in derision. He shall speak unto them in his wrath, and shall vex them in his sore displeasure. Yet have I set my king upon my holy hill Zion. I will declare the decree. Yahweh have said unto me, this thou art my son, this day have I begotten thee. All right. And so, hey, this is this new kingdom that's, Esau is the end of the world and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. And it is what it is. That's final. That's the Lord's will. So as Esau gets up off that there throne, all right, hey, what the scriptures say. All right, we're gonna close out with this. I ain't gonna drag this on no more, but what does the scripture say? Boom. Can we read it somewhere else? I can get it a little shorter than this, but Revelation 6:2, it says, and I saw, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat on him had a bow, and a crown was given unto him. And he went forth conquering and to conquer. All right, and we could still read it either or, don't matter. But it's quite a bit over here. It goes a little further into it. All right, Revelation 19:11. And I saw heaven open, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat upon him was called Faithful and True, and in righteousness he doth judge and make war. All right. Well, let's read just the next verse. We'll close it out there. His eyes were as a flame of fire, and on his head were many crowns, and he had a name written that no man knew but himself. Hey, but on his head he had many crowns. Why? Because he's taken up all these rulers up off of their thrones, man, and reigns supreme among everybody. You know what I'm saying? Hey, Yahweh shall come and reign supreme on this earth, man. All right, so hey, this is a futile plan that these people are over here making a contingency plan for once Babylon fall, what they're going to be doing after this, man. All right, if these, and of course this is prophecy playing out, but I would say if they had a righteous mind, but hey, they're right. Hey, they're righteous right now. They're doing what the Lord's saying to do to fulfill prophecy, but I would say, like, in a, carnally speaking, in a righteous mind, hey, what these nations should be doing, like, look, shit, we see Babylon finna fall, we should just go ahead and get the chains, go ahead and put it in, get these resources ready to go ahead and give them to these other nations and things like that. But hey, the Lord is he liked that drama and that controversy. So hey, don't you like a good movie? All right, what good movie have you ever seen with a good guy and a bad guy, or like the Batman, or with the Joker or Bane, where they just come out, put themselves in handcuffs, and Bane actually, or the Joker actually did do that, but hey, it was a little plot twist to that. But what movie like that have you ever seen where the bad guy just gave up in the very beginning? Oh shit, here you caught me. Nah, man. A good movie show a bit of a controversy, a struggle and a fight and everything else like that, man. All right, where the righteous reign supreme in the end, and this is what you're about to witness happen. All right, but I'm gonna go ahead and close out with that. Lord willing, the elect was edified with this here lesson. Until next time, I say, call halal Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of great millstone and taught us his truth and our well. And salutation and much love for you, Akim, pushing his truth and sincerity over the four corners of the earth and enduring afflictions to feed and edify the elect.